Guys, how is everybody doing? So for Valentine's Day this year, I have decided to review My Bloody Valentine because last year for Valentine's Day, I reviewed the original 1981 horror classic My Bloody Valentine, which is one of my own personal favorite horror movies. So like I said, for this year, I will be reviewing its 2009 remake. But wait, there's a catch. It's not only is it a remake, it's also in 3D. Lucky us. Feels good to be back. It's been a while since I last recorded a video. I don't know how you do it. So before I even begin my review, if you are new to my channel or if you're experiencing me for the first time, I do not like remakes. I never liked the idea of them. Every time they announce a remake, I hate the idea because only certain times where if they announce a remake, I will probably be excited because there's only a very few selection of movies that I believe do deserve a remake. But 99 times out of 100, I will say that remakes are horrible. I do not like the idea of them. And it's very rare that I would say that the remake is better than the original. So, unfortunately, this is going to be one of my reviews to where I am bashing the remake and just hating all the decisions that it's makes. So, if you don't want to hear me ranting the entire video, if you don't get entertainment out of that, I understand. So just walk away knowing that I did not care for this movie, but if you want to see why I don't care for this movie, please stick around. So, happy Valentine's Day, everybody, but with that all out of the way, let's all begin. Starting off with my positives on My Bloody Valentine, the positives that I do have for this movie, and that is Tom Atkins. Tom Atkins is one of my favorite horror movie actors out there, or I don't know if you could call him a horror movie actor because he has been in a few other movies. God, my hair. I mainly know Tom Atkins from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which I think is an okay Halloween sequel. I don't hate that movie because Michael Myers is not in it. It's just the movie in general I just don't care for. But Tom Atkins is the standout in that movie, and of course, the amount of screen time that he has in this movie, it's great. He's always great in every role that he's in. Every time he's part of a movie or if he's going to be involved with the movie making of any type of film, I will always be interested in him because he's always a standout in every movie that he does. And he is by far the best part about this entire movie. He only has like a small role in this movie, which is kind of upsetting too, but I understand. He's pretty old, so I kind of understand. And yeah, Tom Atkins, he's great in the movie. I love seeing him in it, and it's a shame that he died in this movie because I really wanted to live. But I will admit that his death was also cool. And for my final positive is something that is kind of a positive, but more of a thing. I was like, oh, that's cool to see that we didn't really get to see in the original, and that's that we actually get to see more of Harry Warden. Now, this is an issue I kind of have with the originals that we barely even get to see Harry Warden because if you watch the original movie, you'll understand what I'm saying. But in this movie, you actually get to see him more like in the opening of the movie with him in the hospital, with him in the mine and stuff like that. Like, stuff like that. It's like, wow, you actually get to see Harry Warden because, like, the first, like, 15-ish minutes of the movie I believe is or maybe like 15 or 20 minutes it's just you get to see actually Harry Warden like tearing people up and fucking people up. That is great. I love seeing that. That's something I wish we got to see in the original, and the remake does do that, which I do appreciate more. Moving on to my mixed aspects, and that is the acting. Now, I will admit this movie is a few years old, so maybe the acting won't age all that great though. But, well, that's actually a lie. But the entire time when I was watching this movie, I felt that the dialogue and the acting just felt flat for me because you got some pretty good names in here. You got Jamie King, you got the guy from Supernatural who's a great actor. It's like, well, those guys are great actors and actresses. Like, they might be doing good here. But I don't know where they were when making this movie because I just feel that they just give no shits about this movie. They gave two shits about this movie because their dialogue and their acting is like gone. Like they do not give good performances. Their acting is flat. There are some pretty good moments here, like at the towards the end of the movie where the supernatural guy, like where we find out everything. I think his performance there and between all the other actors is great. Tom Atkins is great in this movie, as I mentioned him. He was pretty good in this. But other than that, none of the acting stood out to me. It just felt flat, and it just like felt like all the actors and actresses involved, they just didn't care. Now moving on to my negatives, the CGI. Wow. The original My Bloody Valentine has some of the best practical effects I've ever seen, and I own the uncut version of the movie, which came out on Steelbook from Scream Factory a few years back, and I love the practical effects in that movie. The practical effects are outstanding in that original movie. But wow, I will admit, there are some pretty good practical effects here, but I just feel watching the entire movie, there also is a little bit of CGI involved. But wow, the CGI in this movie is fucking horrible. And that also has to do with the 3D effects, which I will get to later. Because when you get a film that has some of the best practical effects in horror, especially early 80s and shit like that, I feel that it's stupid that the fact that they went that route. It's like, oh, great practical effects in this movie? Ah, fuck that. We'll just make it all CGI. It's like, what are you doing? That is a horrible idea. The CGI is atrocious. Like some of the kills, especially at the beginning of the movie, where there's like a girl where she gets a shovel impaled into her mouth, and then like it uses the pickaxe to cut her mouth in half. That's a pretty cool kill, but you can just tell that it's just completely CGI.
What the fuck is that?
I hate CGI blood and I hate CGI kills. And this is the definition of horrible CGI. Yeah, still staying on that topic, the 3D effects. Now, I hate 3D movies. I never did like the idea of 3D. They're horrible ideas and I just don't like them. So, nonetheless, 3D effects, especially like early 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, they age like dog shit. And apparently, movie companies and movie studios still feel that you still need to release 3D movies and release 3D releases. And it's like, well, that makes no sense. And I'm glad that we don't live in the era anymore with 3D Blu-ray players because I hate 3D, never did. And this movie just has a lot of CGI, not C, well, it does have a lot of CGI, but it has a lot of 3D effects. Because there's always just flying at the camera, throwing a pickaxe at the camera, huge explosions, a bullet going through of some guy and hitting a gas chamber, which you can just tell God, it's 3D. It's horrible. 3D just ages like dog shit to me, and every time, and especially when you're not watching it in 3D and just watching it as like a normal experience, just sitting there just to watch the movie, and there's like a bunch of like 3D effects flying towards you and shit like that, and it's like, God, dude, just can I just watch the movie without anything flying at the camera? I never did like 3D. I don't like the experience with it, so that's all I gotta say. This is this oh my God, this is the first time watching this movie that I actually noticed this. There are so many subplots in this movie that goes absolutely nowhere. One of the subplots that we get in this movie is an affair where we get the douchebag Alex, who's a horrible character, who's a character I cannot stand in this movie. You find out that he's cheating on his wife, which was the supernatural guy's girlfriend before he went off and who knows where and all that shit. Those two get married and they end up having a kid, but then you see that Alex is having an affair with his wife and he's sleeping with a co-worker of hers, and then at the end you find out that she is pregnant, and this is not even like a half hour 40 minutes in the movie. This is like in the first 20 minutes of the movie where you find out that this character is pregnant. It's like, well, one, it's an interesting idea. Sure, that's an interesting aspect to put in the movie, but I can tell you it goes nowhere. And I honestly forgot about it until that character died. Like they introduced that movie 20 minutes in, it's like, "Oh, cool, that might go somewhere. That might end up having conflict with the characters." But no. They bring it up and then it just goes fucking nowhere. It's just like, "Oh, we'll bring this up and do nothing. We bring it up the first 20 minutes and we'll kill off the character, and yeah, and like the affair it goes like nowhere until like the end of the movie, and it's like, what is going on? Like, you introduce it and you just do nothing with it. And another subplot is the supernatural guy. He is the son of the owner of the mine of this town, and he wants to sell the mine. Who? Ooh, why? No explanation. They bring it up and then they have it throughout the movie for like a few minutes, like 10 minutes tops, and then they just completely drop it because Harry Warden's back. And it's like, what the fuck? Can you do something with that? Can you give me an explanation why he wants to sell the mine? It's like, looks, what are we doing? So at the very beginning of this movie, one of the subplots, there's a lot of subplots in this movie, is where Harry Warden, he wakes up from his coma, and he knows why he went into the coma, he knows why he was trapped underground for 6 days because of the mining incident, was because of the miner's son, who's the main character of this movie. He accidentally made a mistake and it got them all trapped down there. And once he wakes up from his coma, you think he's gonna go after revenge. He has flashbacks of it, he has memories of it, of how he got there, and then he goes back to the mine and he's going to try and kill them. Sure, that's a cool subplot. He wants revenge. Nope. They do nothing with that. He just ends up killing random people that just ends up going into the mine. It's like he's like Jason Voorhees when it comes to a camp. To where if you go to his camp, he's gonna kill you. It's like, and that's what Harry Warren does in this movie for like the minimum screen time that he has. He just stays in the mine, and if anyone goes in there, he's gonna fuck you up. And they don't do anything about the revenge plot that they teased at the beginning of this movie. My biggest issues with this movie is that they have this whole freaking subplot kind of to where there's like this huge like relationship bickering between, what was the guy's name? God, what was his name? You get Tom and Alex to where they're bickering about it over the Alex's wife and Tom's previous girlfriend, who's played by Jamie King. Those two bickering over her and who deserves her, which is kind of a subplot in My Bloody Valentine, but doesn't really do anything, and it doesn't bother me much in that movie because it's like a quick thing that just happens and then it goes by. It's like, okay, that's cool that I wrapped up that story, but they focus it on way too much here. There's like that's like the main focus of this movie to where it's like there's a whodunit killer like just in the background. It's like that's what the movie I came here to watch when it said I'm watching a relationship drama between two characters that I can't fucking stand to watch in this entire goddamn movie. That is the entire time me watching the movie, and it's like, Jesus Christ, can you guys just figure out who the killer is and just figure all this out later because I'd rather not watch that for 90 to 100 minutes long. It's like it just, can we do something that's not boring and frustrating me the entire time I'm watching the movie? Because that's the entire movie. It's just relationship drama with a killer in the background. It's like, what the fuck? I think that the guess who done it killer aspect and the reveal of who the killer is at the end of this movie, I think was plainly obvious the second the killer walked in, because the second this character comes back into town and all that, and he comes back from being wherever the fuck from, and then the killer comes back and all that, that's just a sign. It's like, yeah, he's the killer. And then they do like this stupid scene in the mine to where Harry throws him into the cage and locks him up and then kills this guy outside of it to make it look like that this character is innocent, and it's like it's clearly that it's him, and you guys are trying to hide that it's him, and you guys are trying to do a scene. It's like, oh, he's actually innocent and it might actually be Harry Warden or Alex. It's like, dude, no, it's plain, it's obviously him. Every character that dies in this movie, he is there. Every single scene that this guy is with these characters, they end up dying and he has to do something with it. And you're telling me that this guy doesn't look like a killer? Like the entire time, this guy just looks like a killer. It's like, can we just arrest him? Can we kill him? It's like it's obvious that it's him. Like it doesn't take a fucking genius to realize that. And for my final negative, and I kind of already talked about this a little bit, and that's the characters. Tom and Alex, they're kind of like the main focuses of this movie. They are miserable to watch. I cannot stand them the entire time they're on screen. I'm just bored out of my mind, and I just can't stand them. I seriously can't. To where the entire time they're on screen, I'm bored and I'm frustrated because they're always yelling at each other, arguing, fighting, and disagreeing. And it's like, can you both just die? Like, I would rather have them both die than one of them get the happy ending. And when Alex does live at the end, it's like, I don't care. I want him dead. And it's like, oh, I'm supposed to clap for that? No, I want him dead. He's an annoying character. All he does is shout. All he does is yell at his wife. It's like, they were miserable to watch, and it was fucking hard to get through this movie watching these characters because when I come to horror movies and movies in general, I come to watch likable characters that are interesting and fun to watch. This movie does not have that whatsoever. There is not a single character in this movie that I liked. There's not a single character in this movie that I can remember. Like I said, I like Tom Atkins in this movie. I can't even remember his character. I seriously can't. If you were to chain me up and torture me and make me say name all these characters and what what they did in this movie, I couldn't fucking tell you. They are so forgettable and so unlikable that it's hard to even know them. All in all, guys, I really do not like this movie. I really do not like My Bloody Valentine 3D. For someone who loves that original movie, who cherishes that movie, and it was one of my favorite horror movies of all time, I cannot watch this movie. This movie, it was so hard to get through this movie with, and you know, maybe one day we'll get another remake or we'll get a sequel or whatever because I think this movie does deserve another remake or some sort of legacy sequel because I just want to see this franchise come back, but unfortunately this remake killed this entire franchise and it fucking sucks. What do you guys think of My Bloody Valentine, the remake, or My Bloody Valentine 3D? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? If you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you would get notified from my latest videos. And I'll have my video for the original My Bloody Valentine that I reviewed last year for Valentine's Day around here. Hopefully, thank you all so much for watching this video. And of course, until my next video, I'll see you all next time.